Have you ever noticed how it happens so fast? One moment you're trying to stay calm, the next your throat tightens, your chest feels heavy, your eyes start burning. You're angry, but instead of shouting, your voice breaks. Tears come before words do. And almost instantly a second pain appears, not the anger, but the shame. You tell yourself, why am I like this? Why can't I just argue like a normal person? Why do I always end up crying? Maybe someone once told you crying means you lost, or that it makes you look weak, or worse, manipulative. So you learn to hate that part of yourself. But what if crying during anger isn't a flaw at all? What if it's your nervous system choosing honesty over harm? What if it's a sign of something rare, not something broken? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you may see yourself very differently. 1. You feel emotions fully, not selectively. Some people only allow themselves to feel one emotion at a time. Anger stays anger. Nothing else is allowed in. But you don't work that way. When you're angry, sadness is right there too. So is disappointment. So is grief over being misunderstood. Your emotions come as a wave, not a single drop. Think about a moment you got angry with someone you care about. Maybe they said something careless. Maybe they ignored something important to you. You weren't just mad about the words. You were hurt that they didn't see you, that they didn't notice the effort you made, that they didn't protect something you trusted them with. So your tears weren't random. They were your heart saying, "This matters to me." And people who feel things this deeply aren't fragile. They're sensitive in a world that rewards numbness. That depth is the first strength most people overlook, and it connects to something even deeper inside you. 2. You notice emotional meaning others miss. When conflict happens, many people focus on winning the argument. You focus on what the argument means. You notice tone, timing, subtext. You feel when something isn't just about the moment, but about a pattern. So when anger hits, your mind starts processing everything at once. What this says about the relationship, what this reminds you of from the past, what might change after this conversation. That's a lot to hold. And when words can't carry all of that, tears step in. Imagine trying to explain years of feeling unappreciated in a single argument. You're not crying because you're losing control. You're crying because your inner world is complex. You understand emotional weight, even if you struggle to explain it out loud. That awareness is emotional intelligence, even if it doesn't look confident or polished. And this awareness leads to another quiet strength. 3. You protect others even when you're hurt. When anger rises, you instinctively slow yourself down. You don't want to say something you can't take back. You don't want to damage the relationship forever. You don't want to become cruel just to feel powerful. So instead of exploding outward, the emotion turns inward. You cry, not because you're powerless, but because you're choosing restraint. Think about how many times you stayed silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you had too much to say. You knew exactly where to hit. You just didn't want to. That tells us something important about you. You value humanity over victory. You value connection over control. And that kind of self-restraint often goes unnoticed because it doesn't make noise. But it shapes who you are. And it explains why your body responds the way it does. 4. Your body releases what your mind won't suppress. Some people store anger in their shoulders, some in their jaw, some in years of bitterness. You don't store it. Your body releases it. Crying is one of the safest ways the nervous system discharges emotional overload. It lowers stress. It calms the system. It prevents emotional shutdown. That's why after crying, you often feel empty, but also clearer. The storm passed. Even if you wish it hadn't happened in front of someone else, your system did what it needed to survive the moment. This means you don't numb yourself easily. You don't disconnect from your emotions. And while that can feel painful in a harsh world, it also means you stay emotionally alive. Which brings us to another truth many people never realize about you. 5. You want resolution, not domination. When you cry during anger, it's often because you want the pain to stop, not to overpower the other person. You want understanding, acknowledgement, repair. You're not trying to crush someone with your anger. You're trying to be seen inside it. That's why unresolved conflict lingers so deeply with you. Because for you, emotions aren't games, they're signals. And when those signals go unheard, your system reacts. You don't crave control, you crave emotional safety. That's a strength, even if it makes life feel heavier sometimes. And there's one final strength that ties everything together. 6. You are braver than you think. Crying during anger is emotional honesty. You don't hide behind indifference. You don't pretend nothing hurts. You don't build a false tough persona to survive. You show what's real. And vulnerability is not weakness, it's exposure. It means you're willing to feel things fully, even when it would be easier to shut down. Many people live their entire lives avoiding emotions you face head-on. And yes, it costs you sometimes, but it also means you're capable of deep empathy, deep love, and deep connection. So if you cry when you're angry, please don't punish yourself for it. You are not immature. You are not broken. You are not failing at strength. You are emotionally complex in a simple world, sensitive in a loud culture, honest in moments where honesty feels risky. And maybe the real healing isn't stopping the tears, but stopping the belief that they make you less. Because the part of you that cries is the same part that cares. And that part deserves understanding, especially from you.